How many of you have ever been stressed? Being a full-time college student, working a part-time job, and also being a worrywart or someone who worries about everything underneath the sun, I feel like I have a pretty good grasp on what stress is. In this speech, I will cover what goes on in the brain when a person is stressed, how long-term and short-term stress affects the body, and also proper ways to manage the stress. Firstly, let's start off by learning about what goes on in the brain when it senses stress. When a person goes through stress, the brain shows very distinctive signs of the stress. Stress is a very natural occurrence in life. However, we have it for a very important purpose. Stress is what will activate our fight or flight response. It is what tells us to brace ourselves for impact or to take off. According to YourAmazingBrain.org, when the brain perceives there is stress or a possible danger, it sends signals through your nerves into your spinal cord. Once the signal reaches the spinal cord, it then sends messages to the adrenal glands, and the adrenaline is then released. The hypothalamus also sends an alert to the pituitary gland, or a little gland towards the middle of the brain that is in charge of releasing a wide variety of hormones in a variety of different situations. In this case, it'll be cortisol. Adrenaline and cortisol prompt the body to get away from the danger, raising the heart rate, blood pressure, and blood sugar to get away from the danger. However, when most of us feel stress, we are not in a life or death situation. Instead, we are in a situation that we are just very worried about. The reason why we worry about such things is because we manage to trick a little part of the brain located towards the back, right above the nape of our neck, into thinking we are in a dangerous situation. This is where our primitive instincts are held. This would originally be used if we sensed danger and activated our fight or flight response immediately. This area of the brain is also activated by scent or sound and will bypass the rest of the brain to get the body into movement away from the danger. Secondly, let's discover what effects stress does on the body in long-term and short-term situations. Stress is a common occurrence, but it's not particularly good for the body in long-term doses. Having short-term doses is actually good for the body. It keeps the blood pumping and gives spurts of alertness. When the body senses a stressor, muscles all over the body tense. If all of those muscles stay tense for long periods of time, it can cause injuries to the person or make the person more prone to certain injuries. Stress long-term can give permanent damage to the body. Psychology Today says that chronic stress is absolutely terrible for our brains. Long-term cortisol contact can damage the brain. Going through chronic stress can damage the neural networks in your brain. Cortisol, or the stress hormone, can actually cause the stem cells in your body to malfunction. Chronic stress actually reduces the number of stem cells that will later turn into neurons. Researchers have also possibly linked chronic stress to memory disorders such as dementia. The hippocampus is a pretty fascinating part of our body. The hippocampus contains white matter, and scientists have been paying a very close attention to how white matter reacts to the stress. The hippocampus regulates emotions, memories, and various emotional disorders, and under stress we can actually see the hippocampus shrink. In addition, studies have been done on young people and stress. The study suggests the young people who have a hard time dealing with stress early in life are more prone to mental illnesses such as depression, anxiety, and mood disorders, as well as some learning difficulties later in life. Lastly, let's go over the ways to manage stress. Managing stress can come in a variety of different forms. If possible, take a break from whatever is stressing you out. A vacation is good for the body and the brain. The American Heart Association tells us to keep positive. Instead of beating ourselves up over something, keep a positive outlook on it. For example, say I can do this instead of I can't do this. Find an outlet for daily relaxation. This relaxation can be something as simple as reading or exercising or listening to ASMR off of YouTube. It's important for it to be daily. This gives the body time to relax and to wash away all the built-up tension throughout the day. However, it is different for every person. Like me, for example, I have different things that I do depending on different situations. If it is school or work stressing me out, I tend to just take a step back and take a breather, maybe take a walk away from it. However, if it is something more personal and emotional, I listen to music. For some reason, I just find that this helps me get through these things. But it is really up to you, and it takes experimentation to figure out the proper tools that are set for you. In conclusion, Stress is a part of everyday life. Stress can actually change the brain's neural pathways, changing the biology of the brain. Long-term stress is absolutely terrible on the brain, and there are various ways to properly handle the stress. Just because stress has become a daily facet in our lives does not mean we have to let it continue ruining our bodies. Thank you all for listening.